Our next topic is James Gunn calls Superman DC's biggest priority, which is a response that he got to a tweet which someone sent a picture of Superman and said, James, please just tell us, is Superman a plan in your DCU? Superman has been on the sideline. He's for far too long. He's the world's greatest superhero, yada, yada, yada. And James Gunn said, of course, Superman is a huge priority for us, if not DC's biggest. Eleanor, what do you think about that?
Well, I hope to God he feels that way because, I think there was a study done. You told me about this years ago, so I don't know how old this study is or if it's even still accurate.
Probably not accurate anymore.
But at one point in time, the two most popular, most easily recognized symbols by most cultures in the world was number one, the Christian cross, and number two, Superman.
The symbol.
Just the S. So I think that's pretty goddamn significant, even if this was in the 80s that this was true. I think that's still significant. That's a comic book hero and a religion. That's insane. So I think, he needs to take it seriously, and the fans have been wanting a proper Superman Man of Steel sequel. We like Henry Cavill's Superman. Finally, everyone's turned around on that, because I know when it came out, people were kind of iffy. They were on the fence.
Right.
People have turned around. They've realized that Henry Cavill is a very talented actor. He's very good at Superman. I think it's time to let him shine, give him his moment, and give the DC fans the Superman they want. Give the people what they want. That's the one thing that I really, really, really appreciate Dwayne Johnson for. He wants to give the people what they want. So I really want that. I really hope that they are prioritizing Superman.
Just to play devil's advocate with you, not everybody likes Henry Cavill Superman still. Not everybody wants him to return and want more of a Christopher Reeve-like Superman and more of that sort of tone. And, to each their own. It's all personal preference. But I get what you're saying. That it seems like a lot more people have definitely turned around regarding his Superman. Maybe they just saw him in other things, or maybe those movies just kind of grew on him. And I know a lot of people got turned around when they saw Zack Snyder's Justice League, when they weren't overwhelmed with terrible CGI and editing, and they could actually see, some of the performances.
Mustache Gate.
And Mustache Gate. So, but James Gunn calling Superman DC's biggest priority, I think, is great news among all of this kind of bad news with DC, to end kind of on a good note, that, we don't know if Jason Momoa is going to keep being Aquaman. If you like him as Aquaman, it's kind of a bad time to be a fan of him as Aquaman. If you're excited for him to be as Lobo, then it's a great time. We don't know about Henry Cavill as Superman, Ben Affleck, Gal Gadot. We don't know about the DCU going forward. But hearing that Superman is at least going to be a part of it, I think is at least kind of the light at the end of the tunnel that say, hey, there is hope. Whatever version of prioritizing Superman that may be, we will have to wait and see. But whatever you guys think, let us know in the comments below, as we'd love to hear your thoughts. Moving on to our next topic, James McAvoy revealed finally his favorite X-Men movie and the most challenging to work on as an actor. The actor went on to say that X-Men First Class was his favorite X-Men movie, and that Days of Future Past was the one that stretched his acting muscles the most out of the X-Men movies. Eleanor, what are your thoughts?
Well, X-Men First Class is a great movie. It took a while for me to be able to turn around and say that, because at first I wasn't a fan of it.
It was very divisive.
But after I've watched it after a few years, I've matured more. I appreciate the movie more. And Days of Future Past is an awesome movie. I think that one's probably the best one of the reboot ones. By reboot, I mean the ones with James McAvoy,
sequels,
Michael Fassbender,
prequels, whatever they are.
Yeah, the continuity, schmontinuity, beginning of the continuity, schmontinuity.
Right.
Yeah. I would say First Class is probably the second best out of that. So I could see why that one is probably his favorite. And, it is challenging the type of Xavier he was in Days of Future Past. He was almost like a drug addict recovering from all of this emotional trauma and trying to get over it and having to relearn who he was again and to prioritize his mental health and the safety of others over being able to walk. I mean, he had to do a lot of sacrificing in that movie and a mental workout. So, yeah, I could see why this would really make him have to flex as an actor. And he did a great job.
Yeah, I totally agree. I did not want to see X-Men First Class, honestly, when it first came out, just because it was a new cast. I was so attached to the original that I didn't want to embrace the idea of seeing them younger. Even though they introduced the idea of X-Men Origins Wolverine, I thought, oh, it'd be great to see a younger version of Magneto. But for some reason, seeing a younger version of Xavier, I just wasn't on board for some reason. I was just too young, too immature. But when I did get around to seeing it, not only the soundtrack blew me away, but the story arcs for not only Xavier, but especially Eric, was brilliant. And you had Kevin Bacon in there as a villain. Some of the stuff with the teenagers kind of giving each other like code names I thought was kind of cheesy. And
Yeah, there were parts of their characters that was kind of bad.
I know a lot of people dog on Jennifer Lawrence's Mystique, and I think my favorite performances of hers was probably this film, just because she was a lot more innocent, just more of kind of a hero, if anything, than a villain. Days of Future Past, she was kind of more in the riding the line, which maybe I preferred that. It was more subtle, but it seemed like she just did not have her heart in it. But I do think that both of those films, despite that, are some of my favorite personal X-Men movies and comic book movies in general. So hearing that James McAvoy also agrees with me, then yeah, it makes me feel good that he
like,
also
I have good taste.
Yeah, I have damn good taste, and it's good to hear that he does still have fond memories, because I know Apocalypse really disappointed a lot of people, and it was a significant step down.
Not as much as Dark Phoenix did. Dark Phoenix pretty much just buried the hatchet with that one.
I was gonna say Apocalypse, I can say I like most of it. I think the pros outweigh the bad. But when I got to Dark Phoenix, man, I was literally mad
Well, especially
for
because
like
they call
half
it
the movie.
X-Men, Dark Phoenix. And you know how long the X-Men are in it? 5 seconds. Like, Quicksilver fucking, like, it's what they do.
Oh.
They do this with the Flash a lot in the DC universe, where the Flash trips and all of a sudden he's gone for the rest of the movie. Or he's killed off by something really stupid that he could figure it out because of his super speed, but for this one incident, he didn't. And then Quicksilver is the same thing. Tripped, out for the rest of the movie. I'm like, are you serious? So no Quicksilver in the rest of the movie. And then you have Eric, it's like, when is Magneto gonna show up? You get an hour in and it's like, finally we see Magneto.
I know we've gone over time here, but I just gotta rant about. I love Evan Peters as Quicksilver. I think it is the greatest introduction of an X-Men character, other than Magneto himself and maybe Wolverine. But so he's top 3. All right,
At least in the top
at least
three.
top 3. But he was introduced in Days of Future Past so subtly. It was just like, oh, this guy's really quick, really quick-witted, and I already like him. He has that
pug with the pizza.
epic super speed scene breaking out Magneto in Days of Future Past. I thought that was great, and we got a couple of good scenes with him throughout the rest of the movie, but he got a lot more time to shine in Apocalypse, which had the mansion scene, and he was actually a part of the team in the third act, which was really great to see. And he even had a little bit of emotional arc. We found out, okay, he is in fact the son of Magneto, and he is trying to reach out to Magneto, who just lost his family. And so by the time Dark Phoenix comes around, we're like, okay, this is when not only is we've had a steady trajectory upward of not only screen time, but story arc for this character of Evan Peters Quicksilver. And we've been leading to this story of revealing that he is Eric's son, and you have family left.
Right.
And you know what they did with Dark Phoenix? They wrote him off in the first 5 frickin' minutes because injured his, I don't even remember. But they had that little scene in outer space, and that was it. And then you get to WandaVision, you have a couple of great scenes with him, just to end it with a Ralph Boner joke.
Oh, that was horrible. I hated that.
I know Evan Peters was on board for it, And I know I sound like a little bitch, but I am one of those people that was like crying and moaning about it. Because I was like, come on, dude. This guy had such a good
I've heard
story.
lots of people crying and moaning about it.
he
All
had
right,
such
I
a-
don't think you're in too much of a minority.
Such a good story and introduction just to kind of fizzle out and then get a dick joke.
Yeah, that's
It was just
not
like,
only underwhelming
come
but
on.
disappointing.
I hope he got paid a good, handsome reward at least.